There's just 1 minute to showtime.
The engines are on.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
When they wrote up the systems and the rule set that we use, did working people get to write a line? What class of men on pen and paper jotted down their clues? With capital the heart of their design. When 90 million want a thing, but some shareholders say no, which class of people get to have their way? The people read the fine print, say that this thing has got to go, and we'll start writing a new contract here today. Don't you know that hundreds will work and one man keeps the money? They don't think they gotta tell us why. When they say the new social contract, all the bosses will be gobsmacked and everyone will want a sign. Oh, yeah, everyone will want a sign.
All right, here we go. Hello, cousins. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Social Contract, where we are going to discuss this week's Fresh Hells. Sorry I missed you last week. I was getting ready to come on the air. I was getting ready I sat down to put my makeup on, and I looked in my mirror, and I had broken a blood vessel in my eye, and that's never happened to me before, so I got like a little panicky, and I was thinking, like, maybe you have noticed that I like to put on some makeup for the show. So I was thinking, maybe don't jam makeup into my eyeball at this time. It's probably a bad idea. It turns out, it's no big deal. It just was something that was new to me. Big thanks to our own Mr. Mayor Jared for holding it down last week. Much appreciated. He was able to take over at the last second without me being there, and had a great show. So thanks to him, and he is currently off being Mr. International, making people happy around the world. So, glad he's out having a good time doing his thing, and I'm going to hold it down this week. So, it's not been the most insane week that we've seen recently, but there's a lot going on that we're royal us and all together here are gonna unpack a little bit and kind of work on and kind of see what we think. So remember, we will talk, if you want to leave me questions, comments in the chat, I will address them as much as that I can as the hour goes on. And scooch my computer up to where I can actually reach it and maybe read what people say to me. It's a little far back for me. Whoop, whoop. All right, there we go. Now I'm there. Okay. So before we get into anything heavy, let's take a minute, catch a breath. We do have some news, some goodish news, I guess, or just something nicer to talk about for a few moments before jumping into all the terrible things. I don't know. When I watch the show, I run the on the side of the screen, I look at trending topics on Twitter, because that's generally how the fastest you're going to see something as it happens, because we have heard that there's supposed to be some sort of presidential announcement today of some kind, which could be a variety of things. Just spin the roulette wheel of shit, and we'll see where it lands, because we've spent most of this week in soft celebration of the potential that nobody had seen Trump for a while, and then they were putting out old photos of him, and people are just like, what's going on? So everybody immediately jumped on hoping he was dead. And the internet rejoiced, and everyone was happy, and it was a fun time. Every now and again you get to have fun on the internet when you just watch everybody kind of get in this kumbaya state over something. So it was a pretty funny situation to watch unfold. It's still a trending thing. People are still talking about it. So we'll see if while we're on the air, because we're supposed to be this afternoon, and for me on the East Coast, and they're at the same time as me, this is afternoon, at this point. So I will keep an eye out and let me know if you see something that you think that I should know. But uh, before I get any further into that, I do want to mention Jared is off touring at the moment with his music, and he does our theme song. So if you are interested in excellent music, then make sure to download his stuff. You could buy his merchandise. You could buy his stuff on vinyl and cassette tape if you want to. His music is available everywhere music is available, so you can check that out. And later this year, in November, late in the end of November, I have a book coming out, a new book. You may remember my talking about my previous book, which was, the sequel to my film, "Oh Buster, Out There." Oh Buster, Where Art Thou? And the book was called Another New World, all about Buster Keaton, the later years of Buster Keaton, and that because I had spent years and years researching his life and interviewing his friends and family and things for the movie, and then everything that I wasn't able to fit into the movie ended up in that book. So that book is out. Came out a while ago. But I have a new book coming out, and it is a horror book, kind of classical horror, not like gross out horror so much, but like it's horror by technical definition. It's a mystery because there's clues to solve. It's called The Big Bad Wolf. It comes out November 28th. And up to that point, I'm going to be doing a few little events online and things of that nature to kind of talk about it, introduce it. Thursday, this coming Thursday, the 4th. Yeah, today's the 2nd. So this Thursday, I'm doing a cover reveal. So if you want to jump on any of my socials, you'll get to see the cover for what is coming. Very spooky because we're approaching spooky season. And I also do this thing where I make soundtracks for my books. Not anything like where I'm making the music. I can't make music. My musical skills are limited at appreciation, so I can't make the music. So there's nothing original. It's songs that are commercial, from over time that I assemble. And then Another New World does have one, and that is on my YouTube. And then this one will be. I will also have one for The Big Bad Wolf. It's basically music that inspires the story, and then it's also printed in the back of the book. And then I will do a listening event later in October for that. So there will be plenty of time for if you want to jump on that. And I'm going to use our setup to do all those kinds of things to make sure everything works the way it's supposed to. And it'll be after one of our shows. So you'll be able to just tune in and hang out and listen to some music. And then I'll talk about it afterwards about where some of this stuff came from. So yeah, Big Bad Wolf, November 28th, horror mystery story. That is based on true events, and I'm really excited to get it out because I do this thing where I will work on something for like 20 or more years before I actually get it to a place where it's ready to go. It's not consistently working on it. I work on it, and then things I get sidetracked by other stuff, and then so on. So after the span of literally 20 years, this is the 20-year mark of my working on this book, which takes place in the 1975 and 1985, and 20 years ago, that was a lot closer in time to those times, but now we're 40 and 50 years away from that period, so it's neat, I think, and I think people are going to enjoy it, even if you're not like into really, like, I'm not a horror fan, so I wrote a book from the perspective of not liking horror, because in the traditional sense, I don't like gross out shit, I don't like, the slasher dumb stuff, that's just not for me. Body horror and all that. But I do really love scary stories, and it was inspired quite a bit by a lot of scary cinema. And there's several story-driven scary movies that I'm really attached to, and there's themes in it that go all the way back to like the beginning of storytelling, like fables and stuff. Be careful what you wish for, and that kind of stuff. And pretty much every horror story, I think, really has to in some way include some sort of acknowledgement to Frankenstein. So there's that too. So on another time at another place, I will talk more about that in depth. I just wanted to let you all know because I do forget to talk about these things. So if you are enjoying our show, Make sure to check out Jared's music. You can check out my books, my films, my art, and I will keep you briefed about what's going on event-wise with Big Bad Wolf. And you can follow us on our non-show socials as well, as much as you like. So we will be happy to welcome you, and that's where you can get live updates and that kind of a thing. If not from here. Okay, so I'm gonna check Twitter real quick while I'm on here, just to make sure I don't start talking and something's happening. I will tell you this, as it has been done, Trump Dead is still trending at 19.3 thousand posts, and it has been trending like that for a week, maybe more. And that's because nobody's seen him really, and what they have put out is unreliable. There were pictures that were put out there, and it turned out that they were from June. Another questionable one that came out, and it's like, is this him even? Is this a bad Photoshop? Where's his hair? Kind of an important factor when it comes to Trump. So you probably would want to be photographed with hair, I'm thinking. So we don't know. This also could have, this absence from the public, absence from the internet could have also been a lead up, to some big ado that we're going to see later today, or not at all. You never really know what to expect with these guys. So we're going to see. I personally, and I've talked about this a little bit on the show, but it really hasn't come up, exceedingly large amount. I'm of the belief that he's just not going to finish this term anyway. It not necessarily for health reasons, because we did know that he had that vascular diagnosis, which is supposedly not a big deal. But if he does if he is dead, or if he did, have something more serious, it wouldn't be the first time that there had been a cover up of death or serious illness or serious surgery that happened to a president. It's very conspiratorial upon that, if you look back in history. So that's pretty common, and they, that will happen. So if there is something to cover up, I don't think anybody's going to be too surprised about that one. I just don't think necessarily that it's for health reasons, but we're kind of hearing these kind of clues come out where he's saying, I want to do this, that, or the other so I get into heaven. Okay. That's a little mortality check there that you have had that you don't usually hear from people who, unless that they've gone through something, and we know he's never gone through anything in his entire life ever. So that could be a little indicator, people being like, no, he's great, fearless leader's wonderful, and then him supposedly saying I've never felt better. It's okay, well, we'll see. So I don't know that it's necessarily going to be from health reasons, but I just kind of feel like there's so much pressure from Epstein that's not going away. There's going to be more leaked stuff that comes out. Things are going to reach the media. They always do. Shit always comes to light. It does. So, and all the stuff that we know, we're waiting on these Epstein files that exist, but they don't exist. They exist, but they don't exist. Somebody went to prison. 2 people went to prison because of these files and these doings, but they don't exist. They're not real. And then we know with the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff that she got moved to rich people jail where she could do yoga and make birdhouses and that sort of thing at this point. And she didn't get there for no reason. And then we heard the sound bites for saying, I never saw Trump do anything. Yes, you did. Yes, you did, because you were the orchestrator of this. It was literally your job. So if there are Epstein files, she is the Epstein files for the most part. And if there are hard, if everybody, I said, don't be expecting necessarily to see an Excel spreadsheet of names and phone numbers, right? But if there is something, that is in the custody of Mossad. That is is in Israel. So that you probably won't see because they really have no reason to. That's their greatest asset. So. We won't be seeing that probably, but she is the key to all of this, and she's gotten herself a nice little spot in rich people jail. And I had said that if they go so far as to give her clemency and a pardon, it really would be, the absolute greatest admonishment of guilt on his part. So where that he would not escape. He's already not escaping. You can literally see it. It trends all the time. It's literally constantly trending. Trump pedophiles, Trump Epstein. You see it constantly. So in the span of it's Trump pedophiles, Trump is dead for a week, and then it's both. So that's what we're seeing right now. So my whole feeling of it is that for one reason or another, or multiple reasons, and perhaps he's just for some, got visited by a Christmas ghost, not to be good to anybody, but like for himself, about your mortality, Donald. You only got so many more years. Why don't you just go do golf all the time and whatever and shit on gold toilets? Like, so why not? Like, why mess with this? I feel like he's pretty much gotten what he's gotten out of this, and he's gonna get out of this. And at this point, he's gonna get bored with it. Like the tyrant boy king. He's just gonna get tired of all of this, and for one reason or another, is not gonna finish out this term. I really don't foresee that happening. So presumably, then power would go to J.D. Vance, which again would prime him for his own run in 2028, and that that's its own can of worms there, because these donors, these corporations, these the tech companies, the oil companies, the whatever, everybody that essentially paid him off to get what they wanted out of this presidency, has been able, even in the small scale, has been able to use him as a smokescreen. Like, look at him go over wah 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 wah, and then like, oh, it's South Park, wah wah wah. Look at all this distraction he stirs up, at trouble and turmoil he stirs up with all just the stupid shit that comes out of his mouth. And then all these people can do whatever they want, unbothered. Essentially, they can dictate government, they can dictate policy, they can do what they like, and there's nothing really there that is going to stop them from doing these things. So that is where we are. Let me shout out the chat real quick. Hey, Ari Time Traveler 2, they say they're excited about the book. I appreciate that. And asks also, what are they throwing out the White House window? It said that the helicopter took him to the hospital. Weekend at Bernie's. Yeah, that's what, there was a video. I don't know. I didn't really get a chance to examine it for, AI reasons, but, who knows about that. And Nathan Coyote, hey, pals, Nathan says that today is my first day off of school this year, and it's so difficult trying to act like I care about schoolwork because I don't. Right there with you, bud. I understand that feeling, intimately. I was very much a school hater in all forms. I didn't hate college nearly as much as I hated the rest of it, but I definitely was, I could not abide by the rigidity and I always referred to going to school as going to day prison, because you were forced to be there. You were forced to be treated in a certain way. You had no recourse. You had no rights. That student bill of rights thing is horseshit. They will do whatever they want to you, however they want, especially if you're in a Christo-fascist scenario like I was. Like, it was just insanely oppressive and awful. So still in my adult life will sometimes have dreams that I'm back in that scenario or setting, or of people from high school. And I'm like, is this normal? Like, is this just like repressed trauma going on? So right there with you, pal. Anyways, as I was saying, so I just don't personally think, Jared and I haven't really had a chance to talk about it together on air very much, but I don't really see it as a viable path forward. Do you in your own mind, throwing this out there, do you really see him making it all the way through and going through this next election and being, a president in this next election, and then handing things over in January of 2028? Do you really see, like, where, that far? Like, does it really seem like he could make it? Because to me, no, it doesn't. And he could say for any reason, or just drop out, or never even show up again. I think that's more his style. Like, today's announcement might be J.D. Vance showing up being like, he's not coming to work anymore. Sorry. But that, to finish my point, Trump has acted like such a smokescreen but they still could use J.D. Vance as, essentially the Zelensky method, that they can just take him as a complete puppet and then still get what they want out of him, even maybe more, because he would be eager to please. He's easy to manipulate. He's new to all of this. So I think that we are looking at, like, a very possible, if not today, sometime in the near future, Trump leaving office for just whatever. He doesn't care why. It doesn't have to have like a serious reason or anything like that. And then as soon as it happens, Bernie Sanders and all of these Democrats will be like, we need to respect him at this time. He's going through a difficult time in his life. Shut up. Just shut the fuck up. Just shut up. This is why people are leaving the Democratic Party. And I wanted to make one more point real quick before I talk about that, because there's something. I'm going to try and share my screen real quick. So maybe this whole thing won't completely blow up. But I want to share something real quick, and I'll read it as well. But to the surprise of no one, let's see. Let's share this. Okay. To the surprise of no one. Can you all see that? Let's see. Yep. All right. Good. To the surprise of no one, fellow pedophile, well-known pedophile, Woody Allen, just for no reason decided he needed to speak up to defend friend Trump, and Variety quotes him as having said, well, this is the quote. Woody Allen wants to direct Donald Trump in another movie after casting him in his 1998 film Celebrity. And the quote goes as follows. I'm I'm one of the few people who can say he directed Trump. I directed Trump in Celebrity. He was a pleasure to work with and a very good actor. He was very polite, hit his mark, did everything correctly, and had a real flair for show business. I could direct him now. If he would let me direct him, now that he's president, I think I could do wonders. Okay, so first of all, go fuck yourself. And secondly, gross. So I think when we talk about that, no one is surprised at all to hear Woody Allen coming out talking about what a great guy Trump is. I don't know what he hopes to achieve in so doing, and probably nothing, honestly. Probably it's absolutely sincere, and there's nothing coming out of that. And that it's just, if nothing comes out of today and it's just more nonsense and bullshit, like we're going to change, like we're Department of War now, or we're going to invade Venezuela, like we've all seen this kind of stuff coming. So it could be some sort of big surprise, I quit, or it could just be more of the same nonsense. And again, this is also not tenable, over time. We're living in a place where like we're in an accelerated space of fascism here. That, even his own base is really struggling, to be able to justify anymore, except for these, people who are also insane, which you can't listen to. So that's where we really kind of end up on this is this going to be something nuts? Is it going to be nothing? Is it going to just be more of the same? I don't necessarily feel like today is going to be the day that he's going to check out, but I do feel like that's coming soon. I just don't see him finishing this term. And then that's another thing. Like if I were Trump, I'd be like, Woody, shut up. Like, shut the fuck up right now. Like, don't get my name out your mouth. Like, don't make this worse for me. Like you are like the most well-known pedophile of our times who is like alive, and people still somehow invite to shit and act like matters in some way. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I believe that he also said that at the Venice Film Festival. It's like, okay, like, why are we still letting this guy work? Like, we're just going to decide that this is fine. Like, nobody for sure definitely knows. Come on. Come the fuck on in our American year of 2025. Come the fuck on. That shit doesn't work anymore. Sometimes there's more context. Sometimes those guys just are child molesters, and that's the end of the fucking story, okay? So if one comes out and defends another one and talks about how great he is, I don't know. Maybe we're onto something here. Just a thought, from the peanut gallery out here, that could maybe be an issue. So it's not that's not something that is really going to be very favorable to Trump. So we have that going on. I will also postulate that there's probably some sort of something, like if he is right now plotting his escape, he's probably trying to figure out a way to install Don Jr. or Ivanka into the presidency, but which obviously can't do. But I guarantee you the question has at least come up, at least one time. If he could just, skip over Vance and Mike Johnson and that, and the whole chain of custody, and just be like, can we just, So, and we do have that to look forward to. I think we will see a Don Jr. run in the future. And I think that people will immediately whitewash everything that happened with Trump and be like, I don't know, I think maybe he's different and we need to hear what he has to say. So, there's that nonsense going. So, the other big thing that's been going on this week, which I kind of don't really, well, I won't say kind of, I'm not going to be wishy-washy about it. I don't understand the ado. I think we knew this was going on the whole time, and this comes as no great surprise. But especially the left, there was this big dust up about something that I couldn't really be bothered to investigate heavily because it's just so stupid. I guess everyone's very surprised that some of the people on the internet are being paid are Democratic operatives. Did you guys just think that these people were genuine people? I thought we sorted this out with the Brooklyn Dad thing several years ago when you found out he was a paid op. So I don't understand. And obviously we know that the people are paid on the right. We know that the Democrats are paying people to do their dirty work. And then there are some very disingenuous people who are branded as leftist, that are millionaires at this point, from what they have gleaned from this grift. So I just don't understand why it's so confusing and surprising that these people are getting paid to do this kind of thing. And the Democrats are so useless and desperate. Like, they're getting like people who couldn't influence you to buy a pack of gum, let alone, vote for somebody. So I'm not super sure what the big surprise is. Obviously it's shitloads of money that they're paying these people, but money is irrelevant and it doesn't matter and it's not even real. So it's like, whatever, just, pay nothing to no one, or who cares? So, and then people go, oh, well, it could go somewhere else, better use. Well, of course it could, but nobody accused the Democrats of having good judgment, so that's where we are here. And I just don't understand. I'm of the point of view, it's like we already, there was a whole laundry list of people that we knew were getting paid to do this kind of thing. And they're still out there doing it, presumably. So I'm just not, I don't understand why the left jumped on this so much, because like, obviously this is going on. We know that that Biden had TikTokers come to the White House openly to try to get them to influence people. There were Saturday Night Live sketches about it. Like, this isn't the secret. And then I think that the anger comes out of the fact that it's like, it's not about the Democrats trying to, get people away from Republicans, voting Democrats instead of Republicans. It's about disparaging the left. But did you guys, you have short memory here if you don't remember what happened, the reason why most of us are here, 2016 and Bernie Sanders. In 2020, they put more effort into shutting him down, who was one of them, and couldn't have proven that more, that we, put more effort into shutting him down and shutting his message down than they ever did at resisting Republicans. And which again, feeds right back into the, whole idea of that this is just like they're all working for the means for the same ends. Do you think that they're also not taking tech money, that they're also not taking oil money, like they're also not taking these, like, and why do you think that they're trying to kind of hide behind this idea of like, well, 2 million people in the last few years have left the party openly, like I'm no longer in the party, voters, I guess. So, and they've lost all these votes. People are no longer voting for them. And then they have these stupid people like coming out and like in serious moments and posting pictures of them with a baseball bat, like it's their goddamn Little League photo, or people dying in their office chairs because they're so fucking old. Like, so it's just like the dumbest stuff ever. And we end up in a situation here where then now that it's starting to become clear what exactly the plan here is. So these little operative people who are nothing and won't influence anybody to do anything, and they're just getting money wasted on, that's their grift. It's on literally every side of this thing. That's a grift. That's their thing. They're not going to get anywhere with that. It's just money lost. But it looks also like it's sort of a planned obsolescence. This makes a bigger case for that because I keep seeing a lot of people who are just not getting it. Who are saying, do something, resist Trump. And then when the big, beautiful bill was going on, they made this huge ado about where Chuck Schumer came out and he said, guys, okay, I got mad, right? I got so mad that I said, you're not going to call this the big, beautiful bill anymore, okay? You're not going to do that. That's not going to happen. We are stopping you calling it that. Are you fucking kidding me at this point? Like, so this has gone on so long and for so many years, and they're watching so many people leave. If they were really concerned with that, that's a huge number. 2 million voters out of the party. That's a huge number because all they're really interested in doing is their own grift and collecting money off of these people. So, would you not be, like concerned if you had a bunch of followers and 2 million of them just left and you could no longer be like, hey, give me $5 for my show? Like that seems like a pretty big deal, right? So we see these stupid things that they're doing, this complete inaction. A lot of people online going, do something, even though that even trends some of the time, do something. They're not going to do anything, and they never have. And at some point, these mainstream people who are, not us, who are not invested, are going to have to start asking themselves these questions. And to me, I think that what we're looking at is this actually is the plan. We are looking at what I think is a planned obsolescence, where they look like they don't tweet about things that matter. They don't make any legislation that of any consequence. They don't fight anybody. There's no arguments. There's no videos. There's no anything. Like, we just watch these guys like snooze in their chairs until they just die. And that's, I think the idea here, because they do want to be back in control. But again, both of these parties play the long game. If they're out of control, they just spend the next 4 years, 8 years fundraising to get themselves back into that. And the Democrats essentially work for the Republicans. And this has been the case for a very, very, very long time. They want these same things. There's only so many companies and corporations and billionaires giving out money. Now, there are more of those these days, but there are a finite amount, even though it doesn't seem that way. So if the Democrats, who are out of power, want that money from those people, then who are obviously, business people who are extreme capitalists, who got to where that they are from abusing workers and abusing the system and rewriting the system to favor themselves, are going to favor these conservative right-wing views, then they have to move in that direction, which we have seen them do since Clinton, who championed neoliberalism. He made all these people think that because, he admitted to smoking pot once and played saxophone on Arsenio Hall in sunglasses, that he was Mr. Cool. And it turns out he was actually not. And he was literally there to further the Reagan Bush agenda, but make it seem like a cool thing to do. And then that's how we ended up, in just as bad of a mess as the policies that Reagan put into play, because he normalized it and made everything seem like that's how things should be. And now we are at a point where there has been an acceleration, as we saw definitely in the whole Kamala Harris fiasco, and Biden especially, that they worked so hard against Bernie Sanders, who, again, could not deliver on any promise that he was making. It would just not have happened. Even like, but they wanted him, like, thought that he was the dangerous one and wanted to keep things in the austerity range of things and keep serving their bigger donors, who, all believe in these same things. You don't get to be a billionaire by being a good person. Let's be clear. You don't become a billionaire corporation because you've done things in a good socialistic moral value way. So when the Democrats are doing nothing, and making themselves look stupid on purpose, what happens? They are tapping into the American superhero brain. They know that that's literally, we have been like so inundated with the superhero mentality of things, and how they have the military and the government has used these Marvel superhero, the DC stuff, for years and years and years, most especially recently, as propaganda to militarize and hero villainize our minds. And I'm not talking like conspiratorial here. It's out there. If those things weren't out there and you had to seek that information, then it would be a lot different. But it's out there for the masses. So they've gotten enough people. Why do you think that we keep seeing people putting Zelensky's head on a superhero body, or Trump on a superhero body, or, all these people. Why do you think that is? Because people are thinking and acting normally? No, they're heavily, heavily influenced by this hero villainism. And if that they can sit there quietly, what they can do is what's been happening that I have been complaining about since last year, which is now that they get this whole, when everything is out of control, a hero will rise. You know who that hero is? You know who they're positioning that hero as? The new front runner, as I said he would be, Gavin Newsom. So this guy's a cunt, okay? I can't get that more clear. This is a horrible, horrible person. And anybody outside of or inside of California knows that, but they know that he embodies the exact superhero look, the superhero idealism, and all he has had to do to become front runner. Literally, all he has had to do was send out some tweets in all caps. That's it. And if you listen to this man talk, he is like, it's like listening to any horrible Republican. Like, there is no daylight between the things that he is saying and doing, the policies that he's enacted in California, trying to drive California. As we know, California is very liberal, like the blue and beyond state. It always has been. And as being like one of the largest economies in the world, that's why you get that argument about, let's split it into 3 pieces so that, we have more control over it, blah, 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 blah. Just another version of redistricting. So that the Republicans have been out of power there for a very long time and have very much wanted to be able to take control back of that. So corporations start making a deal with a guy, right? That's exactly what happens. And then the Democrats step back and act like, ooh, we don't know what to do. What, maybe we just need a hero because everybody around here died. So that's what we end up with. Now, I hate Gavin Newsom. I absolutely do. I think he's a terrible person, and he's the person who ran on instituting a state nationalized healthcare system, the state of California. And then he got into office, and when the bill came to his desk, he vetoed it. This is the guy who had himself photographed personally tearing down homeless encampments and has made some really destructive anti-homeless policies, rather than addressing the problem, which you'd think that they would do first and foremost in such a blue state. Okay, so that never happened, and in fact, he went in the opposite direction. The ratchet effect is what we're talking about here. And if you're not familiar with that, the ratchet effect is the Democrats get in any degree of power, state level or national level. We can't do that. We can't do that. We can't do that. You don't know how government works. Things are incremental. We can't do that. We can't do that. Then the Republican gets in, and they ram through every fucking horrible thing that they can think of and they can do, because the Democrats are working with them to, create that interference. And people just really don't understand that, because we think, okay, we're sitting here listening to the left, we're talking about stuff on the left, so people are invested. But when we also forget that mainstream America is still watching ABC News in the evening, they're still watching CNN, they're not connected to any of this at all. So they believe the first thing they are told, and they don't have any, reason to believe that it's not true. If it wasn't on the news, it wouldn't be true. How many times have you heard that? So they are so disconnected from all of this that they believe whatever they are told. And it's like, oh, well, Gavin Newsom, he's a Democrat, so that means he holds Democratic values. Then the motherfucker opens his mouth and says some of the most horrible shit you've ever heard. And then they think that's what Democratic values are. This is austerity, and it's like, number one, this is neoliberalism, like on fire. And this is, were he to become president, and I suspect highly that he will, and probably would win in a landslide, just to get power out of the hands of the Republicans. But because that's something you can always count on liberals for. They're going to get so mad they'll put on 2 hats. So that's the kind of stupid shit that we can count on them for. And people are already falling for it. They're already posting pictures of him in superhero garb, AI pictures of him in superhero garb. They're passing on his these all capitalized tweets because he's mocking Donald Trump in the most basic, stupid way. That is like, the bar is so low it's underground. But what's more than that is there is a huge danger to this. You can say, okay, like what's worse than Trump? Well, not a lot at this point. We're on the rocket ride to this horrible scenario of fascism. And a lot of people have said historically, this is not really something that I have an area of expertise in, but I have heard this multiple times from people who do study this area of history, have said that after pandemics, there always seems to be an outbreak of austerity. There seems to be an outbreak of conservatism. I don't know what would necessarily trigger that. You'd feel like, okay, things went really fucking badly a few years ago. Maybe we could make sure that doesn't happen again. Apparently not. Instead, everybody just blames immigrants and starts acting out in terrible ways that just hurt everybody. So I'm gonna, again, it looks like we had some luck here with some screen sharing. So I'm gonna play a clip real quick. Hopefully it's gonna work. And we are, and because I want to make a broader point, because yes, we are in a dangerous position where things are going very, very fast in a very bad direction globally and nationally. If I sat here and listed all of this off forever, it would take forever. But we know, like the tariffs, no social safety nets whatsoever. What ones were there are gone now. No infrastructure, no jobs. AI gets to rule. The tech companies are doing whatever they want. The oil companies are trashing the world, whatever, and the tech companies are trashing the planet. There's nothing to stop them. War with everybody to make money, so on and so forth. You get it. Just think of something and that's it. But I'm going to play a clip really quick because I want to point out that the stage for this neoliberalism has been set. Because when you look at the tenets of neoliberalism, you're really just talking about old-fashioned republicanism. And so, Republicans and liberals fall into this category now. It's very homogenous, especially these, people who are, call themselves never Trump Republicans. That's literally just neoliberalism. And I'll talk about that in a little bit, but I do want to make a point here because we are headed down a dangerous path, obviously. But when everybody puts their, goes back and just falls for the same tricks again and puts all their Easter eggs in the same Gavin Newsom basket, and he's like, he's going to save us. And do you recall when Biden was going to be elected? People literally actually with their human mouth said, he's going to save us. Okay. So they're doing it again, and they're doing it with another firebrand. And this guy did not get to where he got because he doesn't fall into complete lockstep with this scenario. So I'm going to play a clip of something horrendously stupid he said, but it's not that what he said is stupid, or we're like, oh, this guy's dumb. It's that he knows exactly what he's doing. And up to this point, we know that Trump did not know anything about what he was doing, but this guy does. And this is why it's dangerous. So I'm going to share my screen again. Cross your fingers here that this actually works. Okay. All right, I need to start that over real quick. So you may have seen this. I'm hoping you can hear me and everything's working the way it's supposed to. So, okay, here we go. Nope. 1 second. I'm sorry. Let's try that again. Get some sound.
The hostility to him is quite high, correct?
Yeah, of course. Of course, because of some of his, well, for obvious reasons, some of his views. And there's a lot of anxiety around those views. And they could be on issues related to domestic policy as it relates to, socializing, grocery stores, et cetera. It could be on national policy.
Trump Intel, the comparison is very obvious that you just made.
Yeah, no,
correct.
And we need to make that point over and over and over. I mean, I remember, wasn't Jeff Bezos out there yelling and screaming that Biden doesn't understand, capitalism? I mean, this guy is completely perverted capitalism, Donald Trump. It's crony capitalism. It's whatever, you pay him off, give him a phone call. I mean, these illegal tariffs, which we're also in court on, all the things that are happening in this country, it's just perverse that they could be shaping the Democratic Party in the context of the socialist brand, when in fact, this guy is the leading nationalist and socialist of our time, Donald Trump.
The hostility to him is quite high, correct?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So, let me stop sharing my screen here. Stop sharing. So, I think you might have noticed there's a lot of very inflammatory words that were used in that statement. Perversion, he's and crony capitalism. Okay, but most especially at the very end, he says Donald Trump is, the most or the leading socialist of our time. Okay, anybody who has any idea what socialism or communism is would find that laughable. But this is why I'm telling you this man is super dangerous. He knew what words to use, because most of the mainstream people that would hear that will now, who don't understand what socialism is, who don't understand what communism is, and I'll get into this a little bit in a minute here, but I want to make a point before I diverge away from it. He has tied the word socialist to Trump in that statement, right? So you've got people on the left who are socialists and communists going, which are the same thing at this stage, going like, oh, that's so stupid. Why would he do that? That is just, it's a fundamental misunderstanding. That's so idiotic of him to say that. That is dead ass intentional for the mainstream people in a sound clip, to talk about that he's perverted capitalism as into crony capitalism, as though capitalism is the good thing, and that he has become the leading socialist of our time, which is the bad thing. So as people who don't understand these things and are continually being told socialism, communism is bad, that right there makes it sound like, to the people who don't understand these things, which is the mainstream. They wouldn't be in the mainstream if they weren't, out there not paying attention and just living life or unaffected by this. So he is making sure to tie the word socialist, which is cherished essentially by people who are, to the most hated person pretty much across the spectrum of politics and globally and nationally, to say that he is a leading socialist. Now, there are no grounds in which to say that. There is a deal that was made recently where he figured out how to, or his people figured out how to get Intel to pay money to America. That's literally just, making getting money. That's what he does. He gets paid off by people. Makes people give him money because they want something and they deliver it. And, he delivers. And like, okay, I'll let you do whatever you want. Workers' rights, whatever. I don't care. Do whatever you want. Why do you think Amazon gets to exist the way that it does, or Walmart or anything else? Because they make deals with him. They pay him. It's not even a deal. They just, they just pay him. They just give him money, and that's all that he wants. He's like, I don't care. Keep doing what you're doing. Just keep the money flowing. Whatever. You want to change stuff. You want AI to be unregulated? Sure. We'll throw that in the bill. Fuck it. So that's where we're at. So someone who has been in the game, who understands what they're doing, who is competent and who is politically competent and politically cunning, Gavin Newsom, knows exactly what he's doing when he ties that language to Trump. And that is what makes him dangerous, as we're seeing just out here in the front of things. In the beginning, before he's anybody, 3 some years before he would potentially even take office as a winner, before even a campaign is run, he's making a case for himself. And he is making, and where he's denouncing socialism, he is also reaching again out to the neoliberalists and the conservatives. As one of you, I am behaving like one of you. I got into office by lying to people, by saying I was going to move things forward socially, and then I did the fucking opposite. And I will continue to do that. Now, all those people don't know about his history in California. And I'm only hitting high points when I talk about it. So when they go and they see this guy is fresh and new with the quaff and the smile and the confidence and the tweets and the all caps, they are falling for it fucking hard. And they are wetting their pants because of the hero and villainism. So we look at, oh, well, we don't know what to do, guys. Oh, we all just died. Here, and a hero rises is where we end up. And that's what this is. And it's literally, people are so desperate for that dichotomy for some reason that they will fall in line behind anybody. And this guy is basically like, you think Trump is bad. Wait till you get somebody who is a competent Trump. This guy is blue Trump. That's it. Blue in name only. And that's what the whole thing is. How many times have Indiana for a while had a Democratic governor, if you can believe it. That didn't happen often, but they did. A guy named Joe Donnelly. And he was the most Republican, acting Democrat that there ever was. Like he would do anything they wanted. He acted. You would know if you did not know what party he was affiliated with, you would just assume Republican. And now he's a lobbyist, probably retired actually, but he left office to become a lobbyist. So there's the reason that I'm trying to warn people off of Newsom, not like you're gonna have a choice. But the reason I'm trying to warn people off of Newsom now is because you got to really know your enemy here. And we've got to get out of the idea of vote for the lesser evil. That's not a thing anymore. And the only way, you've heard it a million times, you cannot vote your way out of this, and you absolutely can't, because the system is so deeply corrupt and self-serving that there is no way that there's going to be anything that you might be able to do. Checking into the chat, Nathan Coyote says that might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's sickening to see how stupid people are. And yeah, that's what I'm getting at here is whether it's willful lack of informing yourself, whether it's that you're not bothered by how the economy is going, or you can afford food and everything's going fine enough for you that you're not bothered by it, that you could just fall for this. And that's what's happening. That's what mainstream is. And I want to point out, before we wrap up here, what I was saying about socialism and communism being the same. Technically, like on the technical economic definition, they're a little bit different for most people. Like generally, you would say the spectrum is capitalism at one end, communism at the other. Socialism is on the route to full communism. But also, when you look at history, those terms are used both as good and slanderous, and just like a lot of things, they tend to evolve over time. So when people come at you and be like, the Nazis were socialists, well, they were nationalists, and that's a little bit different. When you enslave your own public to make them breed and work, that's a little bit different. Okay, so socialism and communism nowadays have essentially the same definition. You will see people branding themselves as socialists, and what they're saying is our communist values and ideals. You'll see people who are communists and they're saying communist ideals. You will see people who are saying they're anarchists, but they're espousing communist ideals. The idea, it's right there in the words, right? Capital. We focus on capital at all expense when it comes to capitalism. Communism, community, communal. We focus on our community and our lives and well-beings, and we make the system work for us. Okay. And again, there we go. Like just throw in there the United States versus China. How's the US doing versus how's China doing? Okay. So think about that there. Now, the reason that socialism and communism have essentially taken on the same definition is because you also get social in there, socialism, which again is community focused. So there, when it doesn't matter who calls themselves what, if you call yourself a communist, a socialist, you're essentially subscribing to the same idea that you hate capitalism. It doesn't work. It doesn't serve anybody but the people at the top. It's making more billionaires all the time, and it's ruining the quality of our lives in every conceivable way. And if you think things can't get worse, they always inevitably do. So that's where we end up. On that spectrum. Okay, so there doesn't really need to be any more argument between like what's communist, what's socialist. Basically, we're saying the same thing. Okay, so it really doesn't make much of a difference what you call yourself. Just pick which word you like, and it means the same thing. And that's also where we need to be having our heads when this kind of thing is happening and we're going forward, because the system that we are, struggling underneath, the American political system, only works. It was designed by slaveholders to protect slavery. Okay, don't let anybody tell you anything different. So that 300-year-old mentality, 250-year-old mentality is still in play now. Okay, but they just had to change the definition of slavery to make sure it was just workers now, and making sure that they could scrape away as much as they possibly could from workers and working people to make sure that they, can continually extract more and more value out of them. And then uprises AI, where you can finally get rid of people altogether, which is the capitalist dream. And then there's no way, no safety nets, to help anyone out, or benefits or dividends or AI robot tax or UBI, or there's nothing. They just further and further ebb away at that. So you think, okay, Democrats going to get in, they're going to take all this back, they're going to unwrite all those executive orders, going to kill this bill, they're going to put all the money back in Medicaid, they're going to put all the money back in food stamps. No, the fuck they aren't. And everybody is going to be really fucking surprised when Newsom gets into office and he doesn't de-escalate the military, because that's what America seems to fucking respond to for some reason, which is really fucking gross. And the people in your life that aren't you who are listening to this kind of stuff, really got to bring this to their attention. Like, that shit is gross. That behavior is gross. You don't need Daddy Trump or Daddy Newsom telling you what to do. All right, enough with this shit. So no, we cannot vote our way out of that. So the only way that a movement can start to get away from this system is to not participate in it. Now, on the local level, sometimes it's to your interest to maybe do that, because some things on local levels can be affected. Ballot initiatives, which a lot of people in power just ignore now, because I think it was Kansas City multiple times that they wanted a minimum wage raise and recreational cannabis and all these different things. And then their governor was just like, no, we're just not doing that. So that's also corruption. So if you expect, to get, so that's what I'm saying sometimes, and it's on an individualized basis. And I'm not going to tell anybody who to vote for or what to vote for or whatever, because that's not this kind of a show. We're not getting behind any candidates. We're not telling anybody what to do. But a third party's not going to fix it. Ranked choice voting is not going to fix it. Those are Band-Aids on a broken leg. This system has got to go. And the only way that the system goes is if you don't participate in it in any meaningful way. For the love of God, don't give any of these people money. And then you got to, we're on the minority side of things. So you got to really do your best to talk to the people in your life, or when you do end up in these awkward political conversations. I understand it's hard not to just be like, no, like you're so close to getting it. Like when you listen to somebody who is smart and informed, and you think like, God, you're so fucking close to getting it. Like Mark Maron is one of them. Like he'll say stuff, but then he'll back it up by like, oh, but Obama, and it's like, my God, you were so fucking close. You were so fucking close to getting the point. I think that's the worst thing. Like, if you watch his latest stand-up, like he makes a lot of points, and it's like, you are so close. You got to drop this fucking blue-red thing. There are no heroes in this system, only villains, and it's not going to help you or anyone else do anything until, we move past that system and into something more communal. When you talk about communism, you're not just talking about the mode of operations when it comes to business. That is part of it, and that's what drives, turns the wheel. But at the same time, you have to be looking at a more, and when I say this, I don't mean like British Parliament, but I mean parliamentary view of things. And I'm not talking about Congress either. I'm talking about a more, on the community level. We have committee, and then a bigger committee, like a local committee, and then the state committee, and then the national committee, and every one of those has watchdog groups, and then we work things out that way. Like, well, you're going to tell me that, like, voting can't be easier? I'm not hearing all this stupid fraud shit. Like, like, if you can call and pick an American Idol person over the phone or the internet or whatever, I think they can figure it out. So there are very easy ways to nullify this system, starting with personal protest and talking to people. And then there's, a lot of people on the left are just so tired, and so we come off really angry at about this, and we're mean and we're hostile about it. Yes, we are, because we're tired of it, and we can't believe these people can't see what's right in front of their faces. So, and how they just so easily fall into the same stupid rhythm again. Like, what happened with every single, they're going to save us, and they just fall for this hero story. And it's like you don't realize you're being manipulated in like the grandest of ways. Like this doesn't make any sense that you can't see through these things. So yeah, we get really tired of it. And then a lot of people on the left be like, don't bother talking to those people. They're a waste of your time. Well, it is kind of a waste of your time. You know, if you're going to try to convince, you know, a MAGA person why everything they believe is stupid, you're going to get nowhere, and they're going to treat you like you're stupid. So you're just going to waste your breath. But if you know the same with a hardcore liberal, they're going to say the same things that you are saying, or even identify themselves as a socialist because they think it's cool because that's what's going on right now. But then they are actually just, you know, hold those same neoliberal values. But what you have to do is you kind of have to weigh it on an individual basis of who do I talk to that, you know, could be on the fence about this, who is kind of getting it, who, you know, but like, you know, if you're just shouting out in the void all the time and just trying to get people to listen, it's just not going to work. So you got to get in there and do things, yes, but try to be more strategically to save your energy. But don't not talk to people. That's the whole thing. Like, obviously, you know, there should be more voices, but they shouldn't be persecutory. You know, we shouldn't be like, you know, forget these people and forget those people. I'm only talking to 8 people right now. Like, that doesn't do anybody any good to talk to yourself in a vacuum. So what we really need is more people doing this. You know, like we need, you know, people who are not these giant operatives getting paid money to say and disparage and whatever, and then everybody gets all mad about it suddenly. We need more independent voices is what I'm saying. Independent journalism and first-person journalism, whether they were journalists or just people, is what made the world wake up to very slowly and begrudgingly to what's been going on in Palestine. If it weren't for people filming that stuff firsthand, if it weren't for all these journalists getting blown up, if it weren't for you know, the actual stories of people happening in real time, we wouldn't know about it. Just like, you know, in the old times, and like where you believed what was in the newspaper, because the news wouldn't lie, right? So we need more people getting their voice out there. So I encourage as many people possible as to start your own scenario here, like what we do on this show, because you know, people can listen to you if they want to. They don't have to. You're not going to probably convince somebody at Thanksgiving to think in your way of thinking. But if we raise our voices more, there's a bigger chance of being heard. And people being like, yeah, I get that. Because you're not going to, you know, appeal to people who are hardcore in their beliefs. It's just not going to happen. Just as like those people wouldn't be able to sway you off of yours. But if we can make a bigger voice out of what we're doing and align more on what we, you know, want things to be, and like headline things should be and could be much better than they are now, then that's really, you know, a good step in the right direction. It'll be up to you to decide if you're going to participate in the upcoming elections. I won't be, but that is a form of personal protest, just the same as we wouldn't ask you to go and put your body on the line in a protest. That's if you didn't feel comfortable doing it, because that's just not for us to sit here behind a camera and say and do. That's again a personal choice. But you also shouldn't fall into the liberal thinking that like if you could just go out and march around with a stupid sign about brunch and a hat, then you're really, you know, doing anything more than giving yourself Instagram content, patting yourself on the back. Get real, okay? So look for what works, and what works is making a noise, making a bigger emphasis, having more people out there saying things, being, you know, making the left look less fringy than it is, you know, in fraction than it is. And we don't all have to be kumbaya. We don't all have to be best friends. We don't all have to agree on the same things, but we agree on the major things, and we can unite on those major things. And that's what makes you a movement is, you know, vocalizing. Think of the old time salon type of a thing, and people would get together and just discuss and collaborate and that kind of a thing. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you there. I think we've done enough. Let me check chat one more time before I bust a move here. But yes. And Nathan Coyote says exposure is the solution. You are correct. That's what I'm trying to say here. So whether it's like maybe this format isn't for you, try maybe TikTok is, or maybe posting about stuff is, but you've got to keep getting the word out there in a way that, more people are going to be exposed to it. And that's at least the first step forward in creating something useful, in being able to use your voice in such of a way. And then that's what, and then not participating in electoral politics, but then talking over here about, okay, this is what we need to do instead. Let's share ideas about what we can do instead. How do we make things better? And then more people move behind those ideas. And then that's how things like a general strike gets, sorted, because people just don't understand that. They're like, well, I have to buy groceries. Yes, you do. But maybe you don't buy from Walmart this week, or maybe you don't buy from Amazon this week. It's strategic movement against different companies. And that does work. Voting with your wallet works, especially when money is just completely gone from us. Like, we cannot continue to live in this and let things get worse and worse and worse, which they will, and not do something about it. So I fully encourage people to find a platform, whether it be like this. Use what you've got. Do what if you got a phone, get on TikTok, do what you got to do. And we are going to look at a lot more censorship coming in, the more voices that rise. But just be mindful of what you say and how you say it. And then, we can work towards something. We can work towards some sort of unity. We can work towards things making sense. And I will say one more point to this, because I'm not the biggest Jimmy Dore fan. But when we had when he escalated the topic of like forcing the vote on healthcare, and then they were like, oh, no, we can't. Suddenly we can't. When that's when the whole squad thing was exposed. So at least there was that. And then the whole parliamentarian nonsense. They'll drag anyone out of the woodwork to say like, oh no. Look, who'd ever heard the fucking parliamentarian before in their life? Nobody. Like, oh, this one person makes a complete decision for all of this entire country. Like, it comes down to this person you've never heard of, and this office you've never heard of. Give me a fucking break, right? So obviously this shit is corrupt in every way, and it's going to be, unless we create a larger movement of like voices and work like the right works. They are much more homogenized and work together much more clearly, and they have little community meetings and stuff like that. And, they get themselves paid to do these things. And I'm not talking about making money off of this necessarily. You got to be in it for the love of the game. And because we don't make a dime, to be clear, we don't make any money. Everything we do here is at our own expense. So my voice is starting to go. I think I've said enough for this week. I believe it's just us again next week, and then Jared will be back the following week. Well, I'm looking at the trending topics. I'm not so far seeing if anything's changed. So that might be for next week. If we haven't had that whatever thing is going to happen. So we will see you next week. I will. Oh, so no, wait, no, something's coming in here. It says Trump announcement. Let me check real quick before I let you go. I'm going to just refresh everything real fast and see what I'm missing here, because something maybe has happened. All right, no, I'm not seeing anything. Not seeing anything. Okay, maybe nothing's happened. They're just anticipating it. Maybe that's what's going on. Just in case, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, I guess the briefing, there's a brief, but it just hasn't started yet. Well, we're just going to have to wait and see. So I will be back with you next week. As always, you can reach out to us on our socials if you've got any questions, comments. And somebody says, Amy Live One, Trump had a call. He sounded terrible. Okay, yeah, I just got to follow up on that. So I just don't have any info for you right now. We're all going to find out together here in a few minutes what's going on. So yeah, I will be back next week. Reach out to us on our socials if there's something you think we should be covering or talking about or look into, an interesting story or something like that we haven't talked about. Or if you've got questions, comments, all that. We are on Twitter, Blue Sky, Rumble, YouTube, Twitch. We broadcast live on Twitch, so just join us anywhere that you want some information from. If you want more live stuff, then that's going to be the Twitter Blue Sky stuff. If you want just to be able to see the show, then that's going to be the video streamers. So just catch up with us some way and reach out. We love to hear from you anyway. So okay. So all right. Thanks so much for hanging out with me this afternoon. I've appreciated talking to you. I like all the talking points that you guys bring up. So I will see you next week, and just try to take care of yourselves. Try to take care of your mental health as best you can in this horrible situation. Try to do something nice for somebody else. Realize how the effort they're putting in as well, and everybody is really struggling right now. So just try to keep it simmered down. Just try to keep it in between each other in your lives. Just try to keep it an even keel. Just make things easier for everybody. So that's the first thing that we need to do. So take care, everybody. Appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you next week. Oh.